You're checking out the Opie and Anthony show. Still to come this morning, we got Steve Carell calling in a little while, actually. My God, man. And Chazz Palminteri from A Bronx Tale.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. He's on Channel 5 right now.
I guess he's doing that interview, and then he'll
doing
come
the
in
whole, the gamut.
He's a scary dude, man. He's very intimidating. Yeah. Look at him. He's very intimidating. That's him smiling, believe it or not,
in his movies.
TV.
Looks like he has big hands,
guy.
too.
Huh?
Looks like he has big, just good face-slapping hands.
Yeah.
His performance, though, was
amazing.
Disgustingly good.
And we'll talk
one-man show of A Bronx Tale,
for
which
90
he
minutes.
originally did before the movie. This is what he did, and then they made a movie of it, and now he's come back and he's doing the one-man show, and nothing but rave reviews.
Look at the mitts on him. Look at the size of his hands.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah, if there's any truth to what they say about the correlation, wow. God bless Chazz.
Big gloves. Yes, big gloves.
We'll talk to Chazz. And really fast, to all the prize pigs, stop calling. Yeah, it's the Opie and Anthony show. The show is flying by. We got Mike Rowe still in studio from Dirty Jobs. We're going to get back to you, Mike. I promise.
Oh, I'll be fine. I'm fine.
We've been blowing off Mike all morning long because there's just a Congo line of guests coming through here today for some reason. And speaking of which, we got the great Chazz Palminteri. I say your name wrong every time. I'm sorry for that, Chazz.
But he's not a paisan, so he doesn't know.
That's all right.
But we saw A Bronx Tale here in New York City Wednesday, Jimmy and I. And Chazz walked in. I ran right up to him, shook his hand, and I just said, unbelievable performance. We were blown away. I want to say what I said to you personally. I never saw a standing ovation happen faster in my life. I go to the theater every once in a while or whatever. But, I was saying sometimes you're in a theater and you're not sure if you should stand up for the performance, and then maybe one person stands up and gets it going, and then the momentum starts.
Exactly, right.
When that play ended on Wednesday, it wasn't even a question. Everyone just stood up at the same time and just gave you a standing ovation, and that had to feel good.
It does feel, it feels great. It feels great, Opie. It's been happening every night, so I'm real excited that the people are really responding this way.
It's an amazing thing to go up there by yourself for over an hour and a half and put on a performance like that. If the people don't appreciate that, they're crazy. That's why you get that standing ovation instantly. It's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's just Chazz. It's the set is very, very simple. There's not much going on with this. The set. You got the street corner, you got the stoop, you got the bar, and that's about it.
That's about it. All the rest is in my mind and in my imagination that I make the people see. That's the idea of that.
The amazing thing is, though, if there's not one moment where you feel like you're watching somebody act, it was really depressing to watch. Like, it was so good. It was like there's one scene where you point, like you're saying, this is where the candy store used to be or something,
right.
Like you're gesturing, and it's just part of the stage curtain. And you don't feel like somebody is gesturing to a stage curtain. You feel like a guy's just walking you through his old neighborhood. And I know if I did it, I would be like, and this is where the thing is. It would just be awful. And it was just amazing to watch a guy tell a story so seamlessly for an hour and a half. It really was. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate that.
And one other thing before you get into the actual play. Just before it started, I ran up to where Jimmy was sitting. I go, they should have had a metal detector for this joint, man. A lot of wise guys coming out to see you there, Chazz. I looked around. I didn't feel too comfortable.
Certain clientele, maybe, that enjoys
there's a certain clientele that comes down and sees some guys from my old neighborhood came to see the play, and it was pretty exciting. No, they really liked it.
It's like the wedding in the original Godfather. They all just showed up.
Right.
Now, how did this come about? Because obviously you did this before the movie,
right.
And then the movie was based on your one-man show.
It was based on this play, yes.
And so how did this come about now to come back and do it again?
Well, I thought about doing it again. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And then I said, you know what, I'm young enough to still do it because it is like a marathon. And I said, I think I should still do it, because I really wanted the message that it gave the young kids, the young people, about the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And so many people have seen the movie and said, I saw that film, it changed my life. Or a guy said, my son saw the film, I took him to see it. And, he was fooling around with drugs, but he realizes now he don't want to waste his life. So it it really it had an impact on people. And I knew that the play even has a stronger impact when you see it in person. So I said, I still I want that message to get out there. I want to do it again. And what better place to do it on a world stage than on Broadway? And I decided to do it.
And it's true that, like, people know it's the story of Chazz and the gangster Sonny.
Yes.
And De Niro, I think, it was the story is that he wanted to play Sonny, and you said no.
No, that's not true. No, I know a lot of people have said that, but that's a misconception. Actually, when I did the play, everybody wanted to make the movie. It became the hottest property in LA since Rocky, and every writer, director, producer wanted to do it, but they didn't want me. They wanted a star in that role. And so I said, look, I got two conditions. I play Sonny and I write the screenplay. And they said, it's not going to happen. I mean, they offered me like $250,000 and I said no. And I didn't have no money at the time. I said, I didn't care. I said, I play and I write it. And they said no. But in Hollywood, when you say no, it means, he really means he wants more money. I know what he's saying. So then about a month later, they offered me $500,000. Doubled it. And again, I said, and they said no. I said, forget it. So I would say a few months later, I was with William Morris then. I signed with William Morris at the time. And they called me in and they offered me, I went in and I sat down and the guy put a piece of paper across the table and he said, sign that piece of paper, you have a check for $1 million tomorrow. And I looked at him, I swear to God, and I said, is there a bathroom around here? And he said, what? I said, is there a bathroom? He said, yeah, right over there. And I walked into the bathroom. I'll never forget it. I walked into the bathroom, and they were all waiting in the big conference room. And I looked in the mirror, and I had some water, put it on my face. I looked, and I went, nah. I really said something else,
You went, yeah. Just what he really said. I think they can figure it out there.
And I said, nah. I said, I'm playing it, and and I walked back out, and I said, look, I'll sign that paper, but I write the screenplay, and I play Sonny. And they said, he just looked at me and said, the movie will never happen, Chazz. And I said, you probably won't with you, but it'll happen. And he said, why is that? I said, because it's too good. And I went back and I started doing the play again. And then Robert De Niro saw it. And he came backstage and said, look, I know the insanity that's going around in Hollywood, that you want to play Sonny and you want to write the screenplay. I'll tell you my feelings. He says, I think you'll be great as Sonny, and you should write the screenplay because it's about you. He goes, I'll play Lorenzo, I'll direct it, and if you shake my hand, that's the way it will be.
Wow.
I shook his hand, and that's the way it was.
It would have been funny if you made De Niro read for it.
Oh, please, no.
You ass. Hey, you and Jimmy have someone in common, De Niro, and the only reason I bring this up because it made the paper today, being turned down for a picture with De Niro made the Post today. By the way, you should tell Chazz to his face.
I don't want to embarrass you. De Niro was very nice. He was nice about it. He was very pleasant. But I asked him for an autograph, and I just a picture. I tapped his arm. I'm like, Bob. I called him Bob. I figured that he would think I knew him because I'm like, he's so famous, he won't realize I'm a nobody. He'll think we did a gig together. And he looked at me. I'm like, can I have a picture? And he goes, no. All right. But he was very pleasant. He wasn't being a jerk. He's like, if I take one, a lot of people will ask. I just want to go say hi to Billy because he was talking to Billy Crystal, and it was just,
we bring it up today because it made page 6 of the Post.
I told the story.
No, but Bob, let me
just want to embarrass Jimmy in front of him.
He's really a great guy, but he is right about that. If you take one picture, you're done. You're dead. That's it. So I do understand what he's saying.
Well, I wanted to tell him, look, I've talked to everyone. They won't bother you. They've elected me the lucky boy. And obviously, Dov Davidoff is a buddy of mine, a very funny comic. He knows.
I know Dov very well. He's very funny.
And we did a Chazz Brothers. Remember, we did a table read a long time ago. It was for the 50s comedy. It was with the guy from. Second City.
Second City, that's right. Yes,
and
that's right.
I love watching you stumble over trying to get Chazz Palminteri to remember you.
No, he doesn't remember.
No, I do remember.
I was so bad he blocked it out like a childhood episode. I don't play with it. It's terrible. The play was good, but I was just like, he's like, I was so nervous.
That takes a lot of personal confidence to turn down that much money when you're broke, you're saying, to stick to what you believe in.
Right.
And I guess obviously you believed so much in this story.
Yes.
To not take that money.
I just believe that because you know what it was. Everybody wanted to make it, Anthony. Everybody. I mean, it was like insane. And I knew sooner or later somebody would step up to the table.
If there's that much of a frenzy over it, it's not just going to get
not going to
brushed
go
under the carpet.
I mean, there's always a chance, but you know what? I always believe in divine intervention, and I'm a very spiritual person. I just said, you know what? it'll be okay. I'm going to do this. I feel it, and I did it.
And you can't picture anybody else in that role but you. You really can't. Whether you see the play or watch the movie, it's just that is you.
Yes.
That's your role.
It was my role, and I knew that, and I said, "This is my ticket," and, And then, when I did that, and then Bullets, and then Usual Suspects, and then I never looked back after that.
Yeah.
It was fun about watching the play. It was so, like, when you act, there's certain things that like become embarrassing. Like I'm so fear-filled and just terror-filled that I'm going to be exposed for a fraud. And watching you do every bit of it without any shame and without any fear, like, that was what was so great to watch.
You're comparing yourself to Chazz Palminteri.
Well, I mean, men of similar ilk.
Similar ilk?
No, but just to
what,
watch...
you both have feet?
No, I mean, I look at a stand-up comic and I go, oh, my God, please, that's like insane.
That is frightening.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at what you do, and that's, to me, I go, oh, no way, But you see, what I do is I get on stage and I hide behind characters, and I just do all these characters, but that's a whole nother thing that...
Well, when you were playing the 9-year-old and talking to Sonny, I'm like, how is he doing this? And it was so believable.
It was there was not one cheesy moment with, like, you would play different guys, and you never felt like he's, well, like Opie thinks he's not turning around and turning around making another face at you. It was just like a flawless interaction between 3-4 people, a father and a son, and it was perfect, man.
We were talking about that. We've been talking about it ever since we saw it, and there's a few scenes where you're playing 5 or 7 guys. I'm like, what? And you're not confused at all as the person in the theater. You're just sitting there and you're following along very easily.
I really had to. What happened was I remember rehearsing that, and I was I used to rehearse in the theater from 12 to 4 in the morning because that's the only time that was available. And I remember hours and hours of doing that, hours of just constantly, because you had to be really clear, because like you said, you have to make people know who's talking at what time. So I would just constantly, and I couldn't get it, and I kept trying. Then finally, I found the rhythm, and I got it, and I just rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. I mean, this is not, I always tell people, kids come and the actors come and they say, how did you write that? And I go, wait a minute, look, don't think I just sat down and wrote this. I wrote a 10-minute piece, and then I performed it for my workshop. I did a workshop, and then I wrote more, and out of 10 minutes, I took 6. Out of another 20 minutes I wrote, I took 3, and I kept shaping it till finally, after almost a year, I had 95 minutes of this show, and a year of rehearsing it constant every day, 6 days, hours a week, and said, okay, now I'm going to try to explode with this thing. So it was a lot of hard work involved here.
And in the movie, most people have seen the film and now we've seen the play. It's about, part of it is where you meet a black girl and you guys like each other, and it's a very weird time to be doing that. And I had to ask, whatever happened with her? I mean, that was like a big question I had after the film.
A lot of people have always said that to me, Jimmy, but no, we just, we were together for a few months, and then 16, 17, and then it just kind of, when you're that age, you don't break up, it just goes away.
Yeah, you move on to the next one.
Yeah, you just move on to the next one.
The next conquest.
After putting so much work into the play before the movie,
right?
Because you're saying, it's 6 minutes here, and then you take 10 minutes into. Were you happy with the way the movie came out, with the direction and the
God, yes,
the casting and everything?
I always said that I was blessed to get Robert De Niro to do this, because he was the perfect director. Because he said to me, I'll never forget it, he says, you can do this with a lot of people, Chazz. He goes, but if you make it with me, I'll make it right. And you know what? He made it right, and I wouldn't change a frame.
Yeah.
He did a tremendous, tremendous job.
That's got to be great too, because with all the passion you have for it. If the movie would have come out and you wouldn't have been happy with it,
I was in such great hands with him. He was, he was a director, and he's such an artist. He's like the greatest actor in my generation that I've ever seen, and a great artist. I mean, director too. He's just an incredible artist.
Did it take a lot of work to do this again now after so many years of not doing the play? Did you fall right back into it?
I thought it would be scary, but it kind of fell right back. I mean, I rehearsed it for so many years before I did it. I kind of just started to come back. I mean, I needed a few weeks to get my chops back together.
Sure.
But once that happened, it's flowing really great now.
Do you mix it up from night to night? Or is it all memorized?
It's all memorized, obviously, but there's times when I go sometimes when I know certain wise guys around the audience that came to see it, I'll say their names. I'll say, and all the big wise guys from all over the neighborhood were there, Joey G, and if I know they're out there, I go, Bobby B, and they'll go, oh, man. He put me in the play, man. He put me in there. Meanwhile, every night I'm saying different guys.
You would think they would stand up and go, shh.
Oh, no, they get a kick out of it.
They all love it, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course they do.
It was really amazing, an amazing story. It's like to me to be able to entertain a room full of wise guys, as well as like square guys like myself and old people, like to tell one story and have everybody captivated and everybody feeling emotion at the same moments and everybody laughing at the same moments. Because you talk about stand-up, there was some really funny lines in it which were delivered perfectly, which annoyed me. I was like, maybe he'll trip on the jokes. That always made me feel a little bit better about myself. But every line was delivered.
He's such a bastard, man.
But it was just the jokes were great. I mean, where they were there, they belonged, and that's what I liked about it. Is everybody just loved it for the same reason.
And I got to embarrass Jimmy. He had a tear in his eye, Chazz.
Well, it was just watching it.
He really did.
So good at acting. Just to watch someone so good at it, it was just, it was like just really amazing to go.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the pieces, what people are responding to is it's really. I mean, the play is much funnier than the movie. It's very funny, but it's also it's got a lot of heart, and you really feel it at the end. Yeah.
I'm not going to give away the way the play is done, because even though it tells the same story as the movie, there's a couple of things that you don't see coming in the play. But there's just one part that let's just say that the noise drops out of,
right,
and it gets quiet, and it was beautiful.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Did you have any differences? Did you feel you had to change something from before the movie till after the movie, now that you're doing it because of the movie? Did you feel you had to change a few things?
That's a very good question. Jerry Sachs is directing it. Jerry Sachs has been nominated for eight Tonys, won 4 of them. A brilliant director, and I was in such great hands with him in the play, and I have to bring him up because he really knows funny, and what he did and that's why this version of the play is actually better than the original version, because he really was very seamless in his direction and having me really make changes and saying, okay, you could slow down here. We don't have to go so fast. Trust it, Chazz. And his direction with the lights, and Paul Gallo on the lights, and John Gramado on the sound and music. He put a great team together, and he knows funny. Certain directors know funny. You know how that is, Jimmy. Either you know funny or you don't know funny. This guy knows funny. And he would say, take a little more pause there. It's funnier. And I would take a pause there, and sure enough, boom. The people are laughing. I go, look at that. He would say, that's funnier, Chazz. You don't have to rush that. And I would hold it back, and yeah, it was funnier, So, it's a teamwork. I'm in great hands with people like that.
It had a lot of callbacks in it too. I noticed, like the joke callbacks, which was just just explaining guys from the neighborhood, or guy Sonny constantly telling people to throw this guy in the bathroom, and it just was a great callback throughout the entire play. And it got a laugh every time.
Mush.
Well, you know how it is. If it keeps getting a laugh, call it back. Call it back.
I do, believe me. And I'll do like 8 more until it finally, once the laugh dies, I just keep going.
Now.
Send a message.
Yeah.
Are you in your personal life and throughout your career? How different are you from the character you portray? You're very intimidating, sort of a heavy on screen and on stage. Is that you? Is it a part of you?
Well, it's a part of me. It's a part of me.
Yeah.
I grew up with these guys. And I always say Bronx Tale is not a documentary about my life, but there are a lot. I saw this killing when I was a 9-year-old boy, and my father was a bus driver. I had a relationship with a black girl, and some of my friends died, and I used to throw the dice for the wise guys in the hole. They used to call it the hole, this place. And, in the Shade Joey was a bar that we hung out in. So a lot of these stories all happened, and I just kind of weave them together into this one story. But I grew up with wise guys. I mean, a great story is when I was understudying a role on Broadway in 1982, and finally the wise guys they heard I was on Broadway, so they came over to me and they said, "Hey, Chazz, they said we heard you're on Broadway. We want to come and see you." And I said, "Well, I said you really can't." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I'm an understudy." They said, "Well, what's an understudy?" I said, "Well, if something happens to the lead guy..."
Oh, no.
I know. I mean, I'm not realizing I'm saying this, right?
Yeah.
I said, if something happens to the lead guy, then I go on. He goes, "Oh, Oh. and that was it, right? So about 10 minutes later, I'm at the bar, and he walks over to me, and he goes, "Hey, Chazz, come here." And I go, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "You want to go on?" So I said, I didn't get what he said. I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "What?" He goes, "You want to go on?" I said, "What?" He goes, "You want to go on? We'll take care of the thing." He goes, "We'll make it look like a mugging." I said, "No." I said, "Oh my God, no." He goes, "No, we'll put him in a hospital 1 week, 2 weeks." I said, "No weeks. No weeks. Don't do this." I was so scared.
Oh,
and then finally, but it was funny. So that night when I, as an understudy, you watch the show from the back, and I'm watching the show, and I'm looking at this lead guy who had the lead part, and he was a real a-hole, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
I'm looking at him, I said, "You don't know how close you came."
Yeah.
You don't
My
know.
life was in your hands,
said,
or
you
the
don't
other way
know.
around.
It was in my hands.
Well,
They didn't get it, these guys.
we definitely have to take a break here. Basically,
man.
what we're trying to tell everybody is A Bronx Tale is great on Broadway.
Thanks.
I'd never seen a one-man show before. I mean, I've seen a couple of plays, and just it was so much better than I ever would have thought a one-man show could be. It was so good, man.
And we want to get some of the younger people in there.
Yeah.
I felt really young in that theater on Wednesday.
Oh.
And I really think the younger people should try to make plans and see this play on
Yeah,
Broadway.
because a lot of people think they're going to relate to it just because it's like from people who grew up in that era. Like, you know what I mean? From the
Right.
60s.
A lot of people see it from all over the world, different countries, and they love it. So it's got universal themes. That's what's important.
My girlfriend loved it, and she's a toxic who loves nothing new. I mean, nothing old school. She likes all like new stuff, and she loved it. And she's like, "What can you tell me about the story before we start?" I'm like, "Just watch it, and if there's anything you need me to
Right.
explain." And she loved this. So it was
Oh,
really-
great.
I'm
Thank
glad
Hey, you know what else? Thanks for not taking the money, because listening to you tell that story, I mean, really, people aren't just clapping for your performance. You took risk, and in your line of work, in your business, everybody's faced with that kind of call every day, and you took the risk.
The
and
big
that's huge,
decision,
man.
the crossroad,
Right. Well, it was one of those times, I just said, well, it's either now. That's why I went into the bathroom. I had to be alone for a while. And I said, nope. And my father wrote on this card, "The saddest thing in life is wasted talent," when I was 9 years old, and he put it in my room. And I had that card with me in the bathroom. And I just looked at it.
Wow.
I kept it all these years. And I looked at it, and I just put it back in my pocket, and I said, "Nah, not doing it." I went out, and I said, I play it, and they said no, and I walked out.
That
But
was
then
kept all those years for that
I
moment.
still have it. I gave it to my
Awesome,
son now.
We really,
Wow.
we really got to
That's
take
fantastic.
We got to take a break. Got to get the big plug.
All right,
here.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
It's the Walter Kerr Theater here in New York City, 48th Street between Broadway and 8th. Tickets 212-239-6900. You're going to be doing this until February?
February 10th.
I'm hearing February 10th.
It's a limited run till February 10th.
Very good.
Okay.
It's Chazz, everyone.
Chazz Palminteri, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with Mike Rowe from Dirty John.
Unless someone else
I got a bathroom story for you.
All right, good. It's Opie and Anthony.